or that applied to me.
Yeah.
Right?
And what makes you so special that God will reveal himself to you, and yet he wouldn't reveal himself to other people, yet you seem to think that he cares enough about us that you want to preach your personal revelation to us. It's really easy. If there is a God, it's particularly the God that many Christians believe in, if this God exists, then he knows exactly what it would take to convince me, is capable of doing exactly what it would take to convince me, and yet refuses to do this at all costs, even at a time when I was a serious believer asking for this, not to mention the fact that now that I'm no longer a believer. To me, that is strong evidence of the non-existence of this God. It may be that a God exists, but what these people believe about him, that he cares about me, for example, and wants me to know him and love him, that is clearly false. That is as clearly false as anything else.
On the nature of the God, right?
And if their understanding of the God is wrong on that area, then what justification do we have to think it's right on any area? It's one of the reasons why I'm not just an atheist. I'm an anti-theist. I'm a strong atheist. I believe that there are no gods. But
right. Well, yeah, I appreciate the response.
Great. Thanks a lot for calling, Scott. Appreciate it.
Hey, one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, you've got to find a way to do this for a living. Okay? write a book or get a radio show, and a lot of us would really appreciate that.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that, and I'm not opposed to the idea, especially given my kind of history with real jobs over the last 10 years. I'm not the slightest bit opposed to that. But I appreciate it, Scott. Thanks a lot.
I'll get off the phone. Thanks, guys.
We've got Jason from Illinois.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Doing okay, thanks. I guess I want to say, you probably don't remember, but last time I called in, just maybe for some of the YouTubers, I was put on hold, and I think you thought I hung up, but I think there was some kind of technical thing where I lost connection, but I didn't hang up on you. You probably don't remember, but I just want to get that out of there.
Okay.
And then to the last caller, I was going to say, yeah, it's tough for a specific God unless there's like a really close revelation, but I guess all I would say that is like with practice, there's different shamanic stuff that might lead you to spiritual answers, but I'll tell you what, it gives you more questions than answers most of the time. But I don't really want to stick with that too much, but I wanted to talk about a few things if I can, try and make them quick. The first thing is like the first cause argument. And to me, the thing about that is that it kind of gets to the point where, like, you can't really make sense of it logically. Like this whole, like a lot of mystics will say that consciousness just always was, because basically with evolution, it's kind of like you go to progressively non-complex beings, but it almost seems like it would keep going back and back until it's like infinite regression until you get to nothingness. Where there's like nothing there, basically.
So you're going backwards in time, you mean? Going backwards in time,
like
things are simpler?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Like it just gets simpler and simpler as you go back in time.
Mm-hmm.
And then, it kind of gets to the point where you get to like the Big Bang, and then we don't really have the answer. Okay, well, what came before that? It's almost like it was a sort of nothingness. And that's where like these mystics will say, well, that, consciousness preceded
right, it's a God of the gaps, right? It's an area of science where we don't have knowledge right now. We're researching it, or scientists are researching it, and so the mystics, the religious promoters are quick to fill it in with whatever their explanation is. So that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, and I think I don't know the God of the gaps where they make that gap where then you have all these attributes of kind of like dogmas and so on and so forth, and I can't really make that connection, but I can kind of see, I guess, where they say this consciousness preceded, but I don't know how it would have, it almost like an egoless, consciousness or something like that. And it's just to me, like, also you can go backwards, then you could also go like, okay, well, what's beyond space? It's like you keep going, and then it's almost like there's this nothingness.
We don't know of any consciousnesses. I don't know what the plural consciousness is. We don't know of any of those that aren't supported by brains, which are supported by matter, right? Which are ultimately matter. We don't know any of them. So it's a special pleading is what you're getting is they're just creating this magical unexplained thing, which is consciousness. They may not even know what they're talking about at this point, and they're putting it at the head of this thing in order to try to create an explanation. It just seems like I've heard these sorts of things too, and I've never heard any sort of argument that has any sort of evidence behind it, right? It's just all speculation, ultimately.
Right, and I agree with you there. I guess kind of the reason it almost happens is because the mind, it seems like, at least to me, like it's like I can't make sense of, it's like almost like logical concept, you know what I mean? That really just, there's no beginning to existence because, like, say it was nothing, it's like it would have no linear beginning. It would just keep going back, and then, if you can go the other way, the outside of space, it's like just nothingness and goes on forever or whatever. I mean, like forever is like an illogical concept, but that's kind of all you can really come up with,
Well, we just don't know, so we have to withhold judgment until the evidence is in.
And I guess that's why, like, back in the day, they came up with all these different gods and so forth, and it's just like it was basically just their way of filling in the gap, kind of thing. Right.
It was kind of just so stories about how certain things happened. Well, this lightning bolt came down. Oh, the gods must be angry.
Right.
And
right. Yeah.
They must be having a fight, or old Zeus was out after some young maiden, and Hera got mad, and yeah.
Right.
But the big kind of seriously puzzling questions that you're addressing. What's beyond space?
Yeah.
Who says there is anything beyond space? Well, why isn't space infinite? Now, I mean, of course, there's the limit to the known universe, the limit to the matter energy barrier 14.5 billion years out from our Big Bang, but we don't know what's beyond there or if there's anything beyond there. Obviously, if the universe is expanding, it's expanding into something. What's it expanding into? Well, there's... To make assertions about the unknown like that there must be some hard limit. And it doesn't matter whether we're talking about physical space expanding out or looking back. Well, what came before the Big Bang? Well, that may be a nonsensical question.
Exactly.
It may, from a physics standpoint, time as we comprehend it, very well began at the Big Bang. And therefore it's absurd to ask what came before it. And yet we can look at discrete moments in time, and all of us would say that, okay, using our measurement of seconds, we can get back to, some fraction of a second after the Big Bang. But we could say, what happened a second beforehand? Well, that puts us in a position of an external transcendent observer looking at time when there may not be time. And for people to claim that because science doesn't currently have an explanation for this, that therefore their transcendent spiritual mind guy serves as an answer is a lie. The God hypothesis has no explanatory value. It is an attempt to explain a mystery with a mystery and nothing more. It is a pacifier that gets people to stop asking questions because they feel like they have an explanation when all they really have is an answer, a stopgap, insertion.
Yeah. So you think basically, because I know what you're saying about this. Maybe time is sort of an illusion. I concur with you there, and perhaps our minds will be able to better grasp it as we evolve more and examine it more, I suppose.
I don't think that it's an illusion in any. I'm not into the kind of subjective, personal views of the universe. There's a reality that we share. It's a matter of perception. We perceive, time passing, discrete events following from each other. There's no reason to think. I mean, maybe on some meta level, it may be an illusion. Maybe on some meta level, the reality that I experience is not accurate. But what we care about is the shared reality. This goes back to what we were talking about with people's arguments from personal experience. I honestly, if God appeared to you and told you a whole bunch of stuff, I couldn't give a damn. It's not part of our shared reality. And when we go to examine our shared reality, it's not a matter of majority opinion or power or anything else. It's a matter of evaluating evidence. And one of the key aspects of that is admitting when we don't know something and we don't understand. And we don't have explanations for prior to the Big Bang or beyond the horizon of the space-time that is our local universe.